This is the Conscious Hour. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to take on data centers. A long time ago, I left the United States around 2006, and there was a proposed data center coming into the Dalles. I was gone for a very long period of time, came back and saw three massive, huge buildings. Biggest thing I noticed, and I worked on environmental issues, remediation, and all sorts of stuff like that in the past, was the hills around the Dalles were green in the middle of summer because of the amount of water that was being sucked out of the river to cool the data centers, and that evaporation, of course, would go on to the hills. So you had green hills. I thought, cool, they can grow some more crops. But I looked at the data centers, realizing that no, this is a nightmare that's going to grow really rapidly. And of course, I looked around and it's everywhere. And then I found one that Elon Musk had built. He put 150 propane gas generators in Memphis and was creating electricity using propane generators. Well, because I sat on federal advisory boards and human health assessments and did risk assessments and all that stuff, I looked at that immediately and said, wait a second, like within 6 months, people were getting sick. So the toxic load from the propane gas was affecting them drastically. So then I started looking into data centers. Just recently spent a lot of time looking at data centers and look at the options and what other technology was out there. Well, these quantum computers were coming and they were like massively fast and everything else. And I thought, wait a second here. Then I find out where they're going to build 21 data centers from basically the Columbia River at Hermiston all the way down through Central Oregon. And they want to build these in the next 2 or 3 years. I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold down, hold up, folks. Don't build any more data centers. We don't need them. First of all, why do we need all the data? That's the big question. That's a whole other chapter I'll talk about. But as far as the amount of processing speed and everything else, right now we have an old Edsels that we're driving, which are these massive centers. And just one example, Intel, for example, their center in Beaverton, Oregon, they walked away from it. So that was the indicator to me, but boy, we've got to shut these things down quick. We don't need to build any more. We don't have the resources. We don't want to heat up the atmosphere and destroy, like for example, the one they want to put in Utah, in Salt Lake City, it would heat up the wintertime temperature in Salt Lake City by 28 degrees. That means no snow. Oh, wait, to take a rocket scientist to figure this shit out? No. Anyway, so I'm watching this thing, and then I see these quantum computers coming, and then I see these little teeny handheld things that could process more data, than these big data centers. And I'm going, whoa, we gotta stop this train wreck here. So listen to what he's saying, because the train wreck's here, and the governors of Washington, Oregon, and other states need to say, nope, we aren't going to do data centers. We will wait till the new technology is totally in line and we can use the quantum computers, because then you can do your data saving, whatever you want to hold all that data for that you'll probably never ever use, but at least we're going to protect the future. Let's get into this one.
That are being built today will need to be rebuilt, or at minimum fundamentally retrofitted, to survive in a post-quantum security environment. That is another layer of cost, another layer of disruption. Another reason why the AI data center model as it exists today is running on borrowed time. What makes this story especially fascinating is the disagreement at the very top of the technology industry about how fast all of this is actually moving. At CES 2025, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang famously said that practical quantum computers are still 15 to 30 years away from being truly useful, and that classical computing, especially GPU accelerated AI systems, would remain dominant for the foreseeable future. His comments immediately sent quantum computing stocks crashing. But less than a year later, the same companies that Huang was dismissing had delivered breakthrough after breakthrough that directly contradicted his timeline. Microsoft's Majorana chip, Google's Quantum Echoes algorithm, IBM's 1,000 qubit processor, Quantinuum's H2 processor achieving quantum volume 33.5 million. These are not incremental updates. These are category-defining moments. And by 2026, even the most skeptical voices in the industry have been forced to acknowledge that the quantum timeline is compressing far faster than the conventional wisdom suggested. The 2025 quantum computing market revenue was already projected at $2.5 billion, with fault-tolerant quantum systems expected from multiple vendors between 2028 and 2030. Here is what this all means for the future in practical terms. The AI data center industry is not going to collapse overnight. Classical computers are not disappearing next Tuesday. But the architecture of the future, what computing actually looks like in 2030 and beyond, is not going to be 10,000 GPU data centers consuming more electricity than Japan. It is going to be a hybrid world. Quantum processors will handle the most complex optimization and simulation tasks. Classical systems will handle data storage, simpler inference workloads, and the vast majority of everyday operations. But the center of gravity is shifting. The companies and governments that understand this shift and begin positioning for it now will be the ones that win the next decade. The companies that assume the current AI data center model is permanent and keep pouring capital into it without accounting for the quantum disruption ahead are making a bet that history may judge very harshly. The data center industry itself is beginning to adapt, slowly but unmistakably. Major collocation.
So the big issue is, what do we need all the data for? Well, we know there's a surveillance state coming in, and so that's one thing, that's data on everybody. What do we need all the data for? Especially when the data that you have collected, which is say 10 years ago, who's ever going to go back and look at it? We've gone down this road where technology took control, or is taking control of civilization, of the world that we have that relies on fresh water, winter and summer, springs, seasons. But instead, we're all going in to collect more data, to make more money. It's not backed in anything. It's not backed in gold. It's just a credit that you're getting. And we're all striving to make more and make more and make more. So I ask a question to everybody. There is so much money in the world that we can never spend it. I mean, think about it. Think about how much BlackRock's worth, and just all these companies have this massive amount of wealth. And then think of the inequalities as far as the regular person. They're being paid wages that are, I would say 60% less than what they should be paid. According to the GAO, for example, 4 years ago, a livable wage in the United States was $79,000 to $80,500. But just think of the data centers. We're collecting all this data. Our electrical prices are going sky high. We're going to heat up the atmosphere. We're going to change the climate. We're going to go to a much drier climate. We're going to suck all the water out of the ground, so you have no irrigation. For what? For what? Data? What are you nuts or something? But you see, it's the tech world. And then you have to think of Peter Thiel and the surveillance state. So they want all this information on you. Why? So they can put you in a little box and control you? Hey, folks, I don't want to blow the whole story out of line, but you're already being controlled. They don't pay you enough to get ahead. You're living starvation wages, and your future looks like shit. But if we do one course correction, and we use these quantum computers, get rid of the data centers, and then do another thing. Since we're living on money that isn't based on anything, no gold or silver, we're going to give everybody a base credit, which is the debit and credit system I designed, and that we're going to eliminate poverty. And then you're going to have a robust economy around the world because people will be becoming more consumers because they'll have actually money to be able to do what they want to do. And they don't have to be working. We have this work, manufacturing, processing, manufacturing. Look at how many cars we build every year. A lot of cars never get sold. They get shipped overseas. We overproduce just so we can meet the bottom line. Well, this bottom line, if we don't get rid of data centers, your bottom line is going to be death and destruction. No winter, nothing. Dry land, no water. And I'm not exaggerating, folks. This is fact-based reality. So you need to pick up the phone. You need to call your governors in each state and say, no more data centers. If you want to go to the quantums in the future, in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, fine, we don't care. But we want to understand one thing. What are you collecting all the data for? Why do you need the data? Take this and share it with everybody you know. We need to shut this crazy insanity down because of a bunch of techies think they need to have more data. Thanks for tuning in to the Conscious Hour. It's your conscious hour, folks, to wake up, because who's running our world right now? Whew, a bunch of psychopaths. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the Conscious Hour. Please hit the like and share button. Please leave your comments and any other subjects you want me to cover to kind of bring us back down to reality and see, hey, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Or maybe we could get together and make some better things together. Oh, what a concept. Maybe we use data centers, AI, these new quantum ones, to solve all our problems with very little energy demand. And then we can create one thing on this planet, heaven on earth. How about that? No wars, no war machine, just living, people manifesting their highest destiny. That's my vision of the world. This is the Conscious Hour. I'm just the conductor. Thanks for tuning in.